Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. And today, or I should say the middle of the night, because that's kind of where we are right now, I want to talk a little bit about the movie Sinners. Now, if you haven't been following this movie, you really should. This thing has been blowing the hell up domestically. Okay. Came out last weekend, dominated the box office with just Minecraft coming in just underneath it. But it's had one of the best domestic openings for a brand new R-rated IP ever. And that's great. It's a solid movie, not without its flaws, and it's got some glaring ones that I think a lot of people have like glazed over. There's been this weird thing that I've seen online of people that are like really protective over this movie, which is not inherently a bad thing, but it's something that I've noticed in the sense of like, okay, like, all right, now that I've seen the movie, I'm like, okay, you guys, come on. Okay, just admit you don't want anyone to have good criticism against the movie because I don't know, implications, I guess, right? But either way, Ryan Coogler delivered. I think at the end of the day, I'm just going to start with that. The bottom line here is Ryan Coogler delivered a movie that will be nominated for many awards: Best Original Score, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, Best Actor, and potentially even maybe Best Supporting. I'm not too sure which role Michael B. Jordan will get Best Actor for. It could be either Best Actor and Best Supporting because he plays two characters, Smoke and Stack, and he plays them excellently. Now, there are some moments when the two of them are kind of talking where you can kind of tell that he is just playing the same character, but just in dual roles. But it's the little idiosyncrasies and the little nuances between the two of them where like Smoke is more of the like left brain brother. Stack is more of the right brain brother. And they both want different things, right? Stack is more, he has his heart on his sleeve, but he'll follow what his brother wants, even though he will criticize his brother for not really having a vision. But then Smoke is out there trying to make sure that everything runs smoothly as it should. And he will be the ones to make the very hard decisions in the times where that's necessary. And he really played him wonderfully. He really did. As the movie progressed, you stop seeing Michael B. Jordan twice on the screen and you start to see these characters. He really embodied the idea of both. And I thought that was really, really good. Of course, Haley Steinfeld is Mary. She's the love interest of Stack's character, and they have a complicated relationship. And she says some stuff. I'm not going to lie. She says some things in this movie that would make a grown-ass man blush. And I'm also not going to lie when I say this. She says some things in this movie that would probably make every grown-ass man that heard that get an immediate chub. Because she's basically just like, I know what I want. I'm going to get what I want. And I'm going to use the language you're going to respond to. And yeah, this movie... this movie has a scene all about like the proper art of cunnilingus, and then it's put into practice later on, and it's a nice callback, I guess, right? It's this movie, I'm just going to say, this movie doesn't need the vampires. The vampires are almost like, I don't know, I don't want to say like second fiddle to the overall story, because the complaints that I have are that the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie become like largely self-indulgent. Like, remember how Inglourious Bastards opened with Once Upon a Time in Nazi-occupied France? This movie should have opened up with Once Upon a Time in Ku Klux Klan-controlled Mississippi. Because ultimately, like, that's the enemy? It's so weird, that big shift at the very end. Because if you watch the previews show you like Michael B. Jordan in a firefight, and you're thinking he's taking out the vampires. Spoiler alert, it ain't the vampires. And it's this scene that's really cool, and it feels right out of a Tarantino film. But it also, like, when it's over, you're just like, wait, what? Like, that was kind of odd. Okay. All right. Like you needed an ending. And I think that's just simply what it was. Like you just, like you can see the ending of the movie is Ryan Coogler going like, all right, I have this great idea. I have all these great characters. I have all this great setup, all this great exposition, all this excellent, wonderful music, tying into like how life was back in 1932 and everything else and all of this stuff. And now I got to stick the landing. Now I got to find a way to end it. And it didn't land in the way that I think he wanted it to, in the way that I think that, that people will have you believe that it did. For me, it didn't, because it just felt so like, okay, like eye-rollingly self-indulgent. Now I'm just kind of laughing at this. And what sucks about that, and I mean this like legitimately, what sucks about that is the fact that the movie is so goddamn good. It's over 2 hours long. It keeps you going, and you don't even need the vampires, because the vampires are like, they pull from different lore, and they just more or less go, okay, it's your standard vampire. Okay, we don't know like his backstory necessarily. We don't know like why he hasn't taken over at this there's a scene with when you first meet the vampire, and he's running from the Choctaw Indians who are tracking him down. And then he ends up being able to like get a couple people and then go and make the assault on the bar. There's more that happens. I'm summarizing. And you know what he wants to do, because he tells you what he wants to do. He wants to like make it this, utopia, so to speak. But like, where has he been before then? What's the story before then? That's something I'm kind of curious about. And we don't really get a lot of that. And I feel personally like Ryan Coogler could have written the juxtaposition to the twins, where they had the dad that beat them or beat Stack, and Smoke had to protect him. And then they went out and they went into the military during, I think, World War One. They traveled around the world. They got into bootlegging and criminality when it got done. And there's elements there about trying to find your place, find your people, where, going back home sort of thing, which is what they're doing when they go back to the city. And they could have, or Mississippi, and they could have juxtaposed this with what the vampire was up to. And I feel like that would have been maybe a bit more prolific in regards to the storytelling. That's really like my only kind of complaint. And the fact that the marketing kind of shows you like a lot of the movie, not giving away all of Delroy Lindo's awesomeness. He should probably also be nominated. The guy who played Sammy, new actor, great actor, fantastic voice, practiced his ass off from what I was reading about trying to make, get the music done. And I really just enjoyed it. I thought he was fantastic, and I liked his arc, but what got me was like the end credit scene. The end credit scene that goes on for about 5 minutes, and it shows that Sammy's had a good life, but then some friends show back up. And you're like, where have they been for 60 years? And obviously they didn't share the main vampire's vision. So what the hell have they been doing? And I know it's left open potentially for interpretation, and Ryan Coogler has said that he doesn't want to do a sequel. He thought this was like the whole ass meal. A lot of people in Hollywood, like a lot of pundits and people online, are screaming, shouting from the rooftops to greenlight a sequel right away. I don't think you need to. I think Ryan Coogler wants this to be a one and done. And it's going to do great on physical media. It's going to look wonderful shot in IMAX. It's going to be really well received on PVOD. This movie's going to make some money. And what I hope from it is that they really take it and they really expand upon it for trying to, not the story, but like the idea of these original, personal, deep movies from creative people who want to tell these stories, and that the producers, the studio heads, that they take more chances on this kind of stuff, and they trust that the audience will show up. This is definitely like an 8 out of 10 movie. I recommend it wholeheartedly. Looking forward to getting it on home media so I can watch it again in 4K. you know, and yeah, so I want to hear your thoughts, your opinions. Let me know. Thank you guys very much for listening. Have yourself a great day. My name is Matt, and I'll talk to you guys later.